3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Shel McGrory, and today God, I'm so nervous! Hi, my name is Shel McGrory, and today I'll be talking all about Emily Dickinson. To start off, here are some facts. She's an American poet and was born in Amherst, Massachusetts, December 10, 1830. She had two siblings, her older brother William Dickinson and her younger sister Lavinia Dickinson. In her early life, she lived with her two parents and two siblings in her homestead. The family moved to Pleasant Street after Lavinia was born when Emily was 9. This was to accommodate her father's prospering legal and political career and to provide a bigger house for them. Edward wanted to provide his children with refined education. The education catered to Emily was not one that was usually provided to girls in this era. She received classical education that only the elite could afford. She went to a primary school in Amherst before enrolling at Amherst Academy. She took a great interest in piano, baking, and gardening. She began her education at Mount Holyoke Female Seminary in 1847. Emily, as a young girl, had a lot of female friends and male friends, but showed no affection towards the male friends. Out of her many friends, there was one that was especially important to her, her best friend and cousin, Sophia Holland. A turn of events in Emily's life was the sudden death of Sophia Holland. She was so shaken by this that she was sent out to Boston to get help for the trauma. A close friend and tutor of hers was Benjamin Franklin. You may be thinking, Emily Dickinson and Benjamin Franklin? There's no way that's possible. However, Benjamin Franklin Newton was her best friend and tutor. She would call him Newton and he had a deep regard for her. Newton became close to the Dickinson family and often had dinner at their house. Newton was always encouraging her. He knew how smart she was and knew what she was capable of. While Newton was dying, he wrote to her and told her to achieve the greatness that he foresaw in her. She was shocked to read in the newspaper 3 days later that he had died from tuberculosis. It was suggested that Newton and Dickinson were romantically involved, but is highly unlikely. Very little is known about Emily Dickinson's romantic life, and it seems that she abstained from any such emotion. Although evidence reflects that she received a marriage proposal from a graduate of Amherst. His name was George H. Cole. She declined his proposal and later died a spinster. She based her writings, especially her poems, on a few things: nature and poetry on the death of mortality. The bulk of her work was received by her sister Lavinia after her death. She recognized the worth of her sister's poems and wanted to applaud her works. With the help of Mabel Loomis Todd in 1890, one of Emily Dickinson's poems was published. They had to greatly edit her work to meet the norms of punctuation and capitalism during this time. Thomas H. Johnson published the first scholarly collection in 1955. They were the exact replica of her manuscripts, untitled and only numbered. No alterations were made and everything was left as written by her. In 1958, along with Theodore Ward, Johnson published a complete collection of Emily Dickinson's letters. This was presented in 3 volumes. In 1874, her mother had a stroke and this left her paralyzed. She was often confined to her house and was only brought relief when writing and gardening. By 35, she had written 1,000 poems and categorized them as manuscripts. She had sent Samuel Bowers, the chief editor of Springfield Republican, around 50 poems. Samuel Bowers published a few anonymously in his journal. In the late 1860s, she continued to write. However, she stopped collecting her poetry, which became fragments of poetic art. She received no awards in these years and refrained from going to any social events. She was weary of the letters that she had written and wanted to destroy all of them. She sent her poems and letters only to close family and friends who would never request recognition and appreciated her work. Sources say that Emily Dickinson's health began to deteriorate after the sudden death of her nephew in 1883. She became extremely fragile and was bedridden. But even during severe illness, she continued to write. At age 55 on May 15, 1886, Emily Dickinson died from a kidney disorder called Bright's disease. As per her last wish, she was carried through a blooming field of buttercups to her burial site, where her coffin was laid in the family cemetery. The mansion Emily Dickinson lived in has now been turned into a museum. The Amherst College also purchased the house of William and Susan Dickinson. It was originally called Evergreens until converted into a museum open to tours. They then renamed it the Emily Dickinson Museum. The Emily Dickinson Museum was made up of 2 houses in the center of Amherst, Massachusetts. The first homestead was the place of Emily Dickinson's birth and where she grew up. The Evergreens, the house next door, was home to her brother Austin, his wife Susan, and the 3 children. The museum was created when the 2 houses were merged under the ownership of Amherst College. Its mission is to educate diverse audiences about Emily Dickinson's family, life, and work. Her quiet life here was infused with creative energy and produced 1,800 of her poems and many of her vibrant letters. Emily Dickinson is such a unique poet that it is very hard to place her in any single tradition. She compresses a great deal of meaning into a small number of words. This can make her poems very hard to understand at first, but when their meaning does unveil itself, it becomes very clear and leaves a large impact. Although many of her poems are comprehensible on their first reading. Some of her most famous poems are about bizarre death fantasies. However, she was also known for writing beautiful nature lyrics. The poem I have chosen is called Hope is Just a Thing with Feathers. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could have bashed the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked from a bee. Emily describes hope as a bird, the thing with feathers, that perches on the soul. There it sings freely with no guidelines and never stops. The song of hope sounds sweetest in the gale, and it would require a horrific storm to ever abash the little bird that kept so many warm. The bird being hope, and hope keeping everyone warm, having so much capability. Emily says that she has heard the bird of hope in the chillest land and on the strangest sea. But never, no matter how extreme the conditions were, did it ever ask a crumb from her. But never, no matter how extreme the conditions were, did it ever ask for a single crumb from her. Meaning, in the worst of times, someone can still have hope, and hope will never ask for anything in return. It will always be there for you whenever you need it. What I love about this poem is that it is straightforward and very relatable. Everyone can connect to this because everyone has experienced a time where even in the worst of times, in the back of their head, there's a little what if, a glimmer of hope that keeps you going. An example of a literary device used in the poem is a metaphor. She emphasizes that the bird sings strongly and with such passion even during a hurricane, requiring a heavy storm to stop the bird. She also uses a metaphor when she compares hope to a singing bird. Hope is nothing but a feeling, and no one can ever take that away from you. Oh my god! We didn't see you there! Welcome to the first and last episode of The Strella Show, featuring Emily Dickinson.
Well, this has been a great show.
Thank you, Chloe. And thank you, class, for watching.
See you later! Oh, Charlotte, it was so perfect.
I know.
This is for Future
Whoa, this is for Future Next. This is a little message from Charlotte and Chloe.
Thank you for the glue.
Thank you for doing this.
Gotta go bye, you're coming.
Oh my god!
Okay. Wow, we're so annoying.